Hello, and welcome to Southern Drawl Law YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with my work, my name is James White. I am a criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, and a former police officer. This is the first episode of what I hope will be many long-form featured pieces that I've decided to call External Affairs. Nearly everyone knows what internal affairs means, or at least what it's supposed to mean, and I imagine we all have our varied opinions on that, but my aim is just to offer a shift in perspectives, if you will. Something different than what you might see in a typical YouTube video. Sometimes I'll be sitting down with some of our favorite personalities from the world of YouTube. Sometimes I'll be sitting down with people that I've been fortunate enough to meet along my journey of practicing law and being involved in the criminal justice system for over 20 years. And sometimes I may even bring in people from my own audience who want to share their experience with our legal system. Regardless of the guest, my hope for this series is to expand the channel into a platform that offers varying perspectives on different topics of interest as it relates to the intersection of the legal system and society. With all that in mind, I am so excited to introduce my very first guest for External Affairs. Jeff Gray is a military veteran and a pioneer in the First Amendment auditing movement. You very likely know him as the creator of the Honor Your Oath Civil Rights Investigation channel. In my opinion, as I've said many times in my commentary, Jeff has set what I believe is the gold standard for First Amendment auditing. Not only does he routinely subject himself to arrest in the furtherance of a cause so near and dear to all of us, but he also uses his superpowers for good, putting his money where his mouth is and actually serving the homeless population in his own community. It is my honor to introduce you to Mr. Jeff Gray. All right, man, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Gray, thank you so much for joining us, Jeff. We sort of preliminarily discussed doing this, and I'm excited that when I sent the invite, you didn't run the other direction, so appreciate you spending some time with us.
Oh, it's an honor. I love your channel, and it's an honor to be here with you.
I appreciate that, man. I want to do something that'll probably make you a little bit uncomfortable, and the first thing I want to do is ask you to describe yourself, because I want to know what you think of you. How would you describe yourself to a stranger that doesn't know what you do?
Well, first of all, I'm a Christian. I believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I'm a father and a husband of a family of 5. I believe in individual rights and individual liberty, and I go out and I try to make sure that public officials and cops are held accountable and held transparent, honor their oaths to uphold and defend the Constitution.
That's cool, man. I've said, I didn't always feel this way, and I think I've shared with you before that we had my son when I was 19, and I've come to learn that being a parent is the most important job in the world and the easiest to screw up of all the things that you can do with your life. But it's so important, especially when we look around the world that we have and see how many, children have gone astray basically just because they don't have that leadership. And so it's cool. And especially, you can always tell by the way that somebody describes themselves what their priorities are. And so I think it's pretty cool that you started the way you started. And that's why I always give people an opportunity, because, somebody might see your stuff and think, well, this guy's this or that, but just they owe you at least the courtesy of listening to how you might describe yourself.
Well, my wife and I are still, just can't believe the fact that all 3 of our kids graduated from high school, and neither her or I did. So we both have GEDs, so all 3 of our kids graduated from high school, and they're pretty well-adjusted, good-hearted people, So
that's cool, man. So I know you live in Florida, in St. Augustine. We've talked about that, but where are you from? What's the origin story of Jeff Gray?
I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, on January 8th, 1970. On
Elvis Presley's birthday. Hot
That's
Atlanta.
Right. That's right. Not many people know that. Different year, but same date, right? So it was I think it's the coldest January in the history since they started keeping records on that. I think it was like 12 degrees, 10 degrees outside, and it was ice and snow on the ground when I was born. But
wow.
Lived there. My family moved to South Carolina for a little while, about 8 years in Charleston, Goose Creek, South Carolina. And then we moved back to Marietta, Georgia. My family's from up there. My mom's side of the families all live up there. And that's where I was pretty much raised and went to school, and all my childhood friends and best memories are from when I was a kid.
What was the sort of impetus for you quitting high school? Was just wasn't for you, or how do you feel like you felt?
You asked me to describe myself earlier, and one of the things that I forgot to mention is just I'm kind of a big dummy. And I went to school for 11 years, and you know how it is when you're young and you don't think straight. And I was a junior in high school, and I just it's kind of like that scene from Office Space where he's like, I'm just not going to go anymore. And I just quit going. And just stupid. I don't know. There was no real reason behind it. I just quit going to school.
That's kind of a drag. I had pretty severe I guess sort of an inattentive ADD. I still have it. I don't do anything about it, but I remember just not feeling challenged at all in any way in school. I actually quit high school too, but mine was for a different reason. I was basically lovesick over this girl who didn't want to continue the relationship with me, and I would see her all the time, and I just stopped going to avoid that, and then I ended up. But what I did, there was an opportunity, a couple years. I'm probably a couple years younger than you. I'm 45, but so I graduated in 99, but I was set to graduate in 98, but I actually went back and finished mine at high school just a semester late. But it was easier to quit than it was to finish. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Back
yeah.
then.
Like that's the one of the most common stories of a young man's life is being lovesick over a girl, changing the direction of their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very common story.
Absolutely. So how long was it after high school that you kind of sought to get your GED? I know you went into the military. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but what was next after you quit high school?
Well, my parents had moved down here to Florida, and I just kind of followed them. I stayed up in Georgia because I was lovesick over a girl, and then we broke up. I came down here, got my GED, and basically joined the Army because I was lovesick over a girl. I didn't have any direction, didn't know where I was going, so I got my GED. I joined the Army, and went from there.
So you got the GED, but basically that was a requirement to get in the military, or you
No, it was just something I knew that I had to do, and my parents, told me I had to do. So it's something that needed to be done for to have.
Yeah. So you understood the value of it. You just didn't feel
Yeah.
like you could tolerate the formal schooling anymore. Yeah, I get that. It's so funny because a lot of the work that I do in the court system is with juveniles, and I just had a kid a couple weeks ago who basically was trying. He was 2 weeks from his 18th birthday. The principal sat down with him and said, "There's zero chance that no matter what you do, you can ever graduate from a public high school." And they still would not allow him to withdraw from school, even though he'd already been accepted into a GED program. It's just so silly. But that's the state, right? That's the government for you. We can't do a single thing for you except control you, and we're going to do that to the extent we possibly can for as long as we possibly can. So what did you do in the military? I know that's the basis of kind of like why you do what you do, but what did you do there?
I joined the Army. I went to basic